Hello and welcome to today's event as part of Humber Business Week. I'll be your host today. I'm Lizzie Rose, and today we're with the East Riding Lord Lieutenant Jim Dick and recent winners of the Queen's Awards for Enterprise, the Sewell Group. And we're going to be finding out a little bit more about the Queen's Award, but also talking about businesses with a purpose beyond profit and how that makes them more successful. So let me introduce you to the panel then. I'm joined by, as I mentioned, the Lord Lieutenant of the East Riding of Yorkshire, Jim Dick, OBE. Also Joe Barnes, who is the Sewell Estates MD. Hello to you. Alex Mortimer, Finance Director for Sewell on the Go. Shared Agenda graduate Sophie Lee is with us as well. And Pete Tye from Cat Zero. Hello, and I hope you're all right this morning. Thank you for joining us so early. Jim, just sum up a little bit about what we are going to be talking about in the next hour.
Sure. Well, I think recently we had the great news that the Sewell Group had been awarded a Queen's Award for Enterprise for social mobility. It's terrific news, and it's something that we should all be celebrating. But I think what's important is why they won it, the reasons behind it. So I think we're going to be delving a little bit more into that, about what it takes to win an award, but also learn a bit more about the awards, because there are four different categories that you can win an award in. So I'd like to tell people exactly about that and how they can do that, because I'd like to encourage people to think about applying for awards as well. Yeah,
well, we've already had a bit of a chat over breakfast and it was fascinating. Some of the things that are going to come up in this next hour are really interesting for businesses. And let's talk, first of all, a little bit about you. So to understand your role and your role in the Queen's Awards, I think we need to understand you and your role as Lord Lieutenant. Explain that to us and explain a little bit about your background.
Yeah, I think people know, my background was obviously I was at Smith & Nephew for a very long time and led it as global president for about 7 years before I retired in my mid-50s. And then I had a remarkable career that I never planned or envisaged, which was obviously starting two charities, one of which, of course, is Cat Zero, that we'll talk about later. But I've always been involved in the local community. I do believe that if you are leading an organisation, you should also take part in that community. That is the time when you can effect change as a leader. So I've been very much involved in the local community all of that time. So it was obviously a surprise when I was appointed Lord Lieutenant, a huge privilege. And I've been involved now since November 2019, so 18 months, of which about 15 I've been a virtual Lord Lieutenant.
Well, yeah.
It's nice to get out and do some things.
Yeah, see real people, yeah.
But the lieutenancy, as Lord Lieutenant, you are the Queen's personal representative in the area. So anything to do with the royal family comes through here, royal visits, all of the awards, the Queen's Awards for Enterprise, voluntary service, the honours system as well is all run through there. And as Lord Lieutenant, I'm keen to ensure that we respect the traditions of the lieutenancy, but also make it relevant to today's society. So a modern lieutenancy engaged in our local community is what my vision is for the future. Yeah,
just explain a little bit more about that. What do you mean in a modern way?
Well, I just think you have to be relevant to society and change with society. So you need to be engaged in the various aspects of society and encourage good works and help to recognise good works as part of that process.
So one of your roles is the Queen's Awards and to work on that, to help businesses apply for those as well and support them through that process. Tell us what the Queen's Awards are for anyone who is hearing about them for the first time.
Yeah, there's two main Queen's Awards. There's Queen's Award for Enterprise, and that consists of 4 different categories that you can win an award in: international trade, innovation, sustainability, and social mobility, as we've heard about. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in the future. But there's also the Queen's Awards for Voluntary Service as well, which is focusing on organisations that are volunteer-led, particularly charities, but not always charities. In fact, there was fantastic news just last week that For Entrepreneurs Only had won a Queen's Award for Voluntary Service. I think that's terrific news. That is a volunteer-led organisation. It's not but it's done fantastic work over the last 10 years. And I'd like to see more Queen's Awards in the area. Our strike rate is well below the national average, and it's not because we don't have terrific businesses or terrific charities. It's because we need to encourage people to, and help them to actually apply for these awards. So part of what I want to do is to get the message across that these awards are there. They can help your business, they can help your other organisations, and we're here to help. We'll help you through the process. We want to see more businesses win Queen's Awards for Enterprise. It's good for the area, and it's particularly good for the business involved.
I think is that the thing with businesses, that you often doing incredible things, but shouting about how good you are it doesn't naturally always come naturally to people, does it?
No, it doesn't. But you know, I think it's important. I mean, I think it's important. 70% of businesses who won Queen's Awards for Enterprise talk about the 70% experience an increase in trade as a result of it. There's also the prestige. There's the feel-good factor for employees. There are huge benefits in doing so.
Let's watch a video about that now then. There are 4 categories that businesses can apply for within the Queen's Awards for Enterprise. And we can find out more about those now from Christopher Outred, who's the Vice Lord Lieutenant and the East Riding of Yorkshire.
The Queen's Award for Enterprise are awarded every year. Applications start in May and they finish at the beginning of September, and the awards are announced the following April. The awards are for all types of businesses, small or large. You can be a profit or a non-profit organisation, and there are 4 categories, and the entry requirements for those categories are in more detail on the Queen's Award for Enterprise website. But the 4 categories are international trade, innovation, sustainability and social mobility. If you're successful with an award, you get invited to a royal reception. You are presented with it at your place of work, place of business by the Lord Lieutenant. You are allowed to use the Queen's Award for Enterprise emblem on a flag at your offices, on your stationery, on your packaging, on your website. You get presented with a crystal bowl, a certificate, and the award lasts for 5 years. If you would like any help in putting the application in, the applications are online. Me and I and my colleagues will be very prepared to help you, encourage you to do it and help you in the application process. And if you get in touch with the Lieutenancy office, we can be reached there. Thank you.
Well, it made it sound really easy there. Is it easy?
There is a bit of work involved, obviously, but what we've done is to form a group of business people who are deputy lieutenants who are there to help take you through that process, because we want to encourage people to do that.
Some of the physical things that you get with that, we talked there about the logo that goes with it, and the physical things that you have. How important are they to be associated with it?
I think the logo, for example, is recognised around the world, so it is prestigious, and it's a mark of success, and you're dealing with a quality organisation that's been successful. I think that says a lot about your organisation. I think it's very important for the employees, for the pride in the employees. I think it's very important for the standing of the organisation within the community. It's seen that it's a successful, well-run organisation.
So if anyone is watching this and wondering if their business meets that criteria, whether it's the size of business that they have or what they do, what they produce, what do they need to know?
The details are all on the website, and we can take them through that as well. It's worth knowing that 90% of the winners are SMEs. So as long as you're a British company, you pay your tax in Britain, and you have more than 2 full-time employees, so that pretty much covers any business, really. You can apply for one of these awards. each individual category has its own criteria, what you're looking for. So, for example, on international trade, it's consistency of growth in international sales above a certain minimum threshold of £100,000, I think it is. And exceptions are being made because of the pandemic. You know, I think the Queen's Award judging panels know that a lot of businesses have been affected by COVID and are taking, you know, that into account in judging performance. So the criteria are laid out for each of the awards, and you see if you can meet those criteria. If you can, well, let's get in touch and let's see what we can do.
Yeah, and get more businesses doing the same thing. And
yeah.
We'll talk about what it means to businesses now, because we can bring in Joe Barnes, who's the Sewell's Estates MD, and Alex Mortimer, who's the Finance Director of Sewell on the Go. Congratulations, first of all. And to Sophie as well, because you work here, and we'll talk about your role a little bit later on. How did it feel when you found out about that award, Joe?
It was just amazing. It's a huge endorsement for our way of doing things, really. I mean, promoting opportunity probably sums us up. Whether we're looking internally or externally. Internally, we've got, you know, it was a massive endorsement to our people and the approach that they take on encouraging people to come through the business. We hire for attitude and cultural fit. We also hire for skill too, but that's the priority is attitude and cultural fit, because we can teach people what they need to know. And the number of success stories we've had through the business as people who've come from non-traditional backgrounds have grown up through the business is fantastic. So it was a big endorsement to our teams, but also the way that our teams work with the communities that we serve, because you know, one of the things for us is we always want to leave a bit of a positive legacy. For us in business, we believe being a successful business comes from looking after your people, looking after your customers, looking after your community, and of course, looking after the performance of the business. But unless you've got all four in balance, you're not a successful business in our view. So it was a great endorsement, and we had flags everywhere. You know, we had desk flags, we had flags flying from buildings, and our customers have been really, really generous and positive about it as well. So I would definitely recommend that other people go for it. Alex, have you got anything to...
Yeah, I mean, on top of the flags, every member of staff got a handwritten card, which, you know, 450 staff, that was, you know, a small job, but amazing that, you know, everybody was thanked individually. I think for us, it's just shown us that we're doing the right thing. You know, this isn't something that we've done as a project or an initiative. It's something that we live and breathe every day, and our staff live and breathe every day. And actually, it's a great excuse to celebrate. You know, you said earlier, you don't always celebrate these things, but this is a great thing to do, and actually recognise that every member of staff is doing the right thing on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out they are the most prestigious business awards in the country.
Has it changed anything? After that initial celebration of flags and cards, has it changed anything for you?
I think it's the proudness and the morale factor for staff. You know, we've had other awards as well in the past, but honestly, you just see a change in the way people react, and you know, it's certainly on the retail side. It's a conversation with a customer. Oh, what's that flag for? And our staff are interacting with customers, so they are really, really proud of these kind of things.
So for people who start working for you then, what do you think it means for them? Or maybe it's a conversation in a shop and someone thinks, oh, they'd be a good employer.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we can use it in recruitment and things like that, but yeah, I think just having things on the website bring new people to us, and every member of staff is our selling point. And so, you know, when people are coming to the sites to have an interview, they're talking to our staff, and they're just proud of things like that.
I think on the estate side, Lizzie, as well, we've had... it's just given us that extra confidence boost. We're a growing company. We've got quite a diverse group. We've obviously got the retail business that Alex looks after with Patrick, but we and Catherine, but we also have 2 construction companies. We have a facilities management company, an investments and development business. We have Shared Agenda, our consulting arm. We have a data mapping business that we've just invested in. So we have quite a diverse group of businesses, and they're growing, and we're growing across Yorkshire and the northeast of England. And I think just having that badge, we're very well known in Hull and East Yorkshire, less well known elsewhere, so it gives us that extra stamp of approval as we go out and look for new business. And I think, you know, the confidence boost is amazing, really.
So that could be a trust thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no more trusted brand than that, really, is there? You know, in terms of the Queen's Awards. So that's fantastic.
Would you add to that, Jim, that it's a trust? You see that, and you trust the business.
It's a quality award, isn't it? I mean, it is the highest award you can get in the country for your business, and I think the brand says everything. You know, it's that iconic award.
What about with the other businesses that you talk to, and do they recognise it as well?
Oh yeah, I mean we had some really kind messages from all over the business community in this area. I was blown away, really. I think we all were, all the directors were, about how much goodwill and good feeling there was out there from not just our customers but also the wider business community, some of our competitors even. So I think other people will be eyeing up, trying to get a Queen's Award going forward, because they could see that it has such a positive impact.
I think that's the point. I mean, as I said, our strike rate is below average, but it's not that we don't have the right businesses. There are so many good businesses out there. I know that.
Yeah.
And we all know that. Let's get them
absolutely
recognised.
So is one of the issues awareness of it, and awareness that you could be running for it?
I think we're all busy people, particularly in the last year. We've been, you know, a lot of businesses have been struggling to survive. I think we're coming through that, and I think it's awareness. I think it's understanding what it can do for you, and understanding how to do it. And I think that's why we're here to help.
How do you think it reflects what you do, Alex?
Like I've just said, you know, it's just reinforcing what we do. So it's not going to change the way we do things, because we do it anyway. And, you know, putting the submission together, there was so many, you know, it's actually that's part of the journey, is you suddenly think, oh yeah, we do that, we do that, we do that, we do that. And, you know, there was pages and pages of examples of things that we do in the community with our staff, and it wasn't difficult to complete, and I'm sure a lot of other companies would find the same, but taking that time to sit down and actually recognise what you're already doing.
Let's talk a little bit more about this then. The Sewell Group, we'll find out a bit more about them and what this means to its chairman, Dr. Paul Sewell, OBE.
My name's Paul Sewell, I'm the chair at the Sewell Group. Well, the Sewell Group is ostensibly a Hull company, which is now a Yorkshire company, starting in 1876 and right through to the 70s really as a builder. And now we're a diverse organisation in facilities management, investment, petrol forecourt retail, right across Yorkshire. So we've moved from a dozen people when I joined to 500 people across Yorkshire now. Well, I've had the privilege of having a personal award from the Queen. And the magic when you open the letter and it says the Prime Minister has recommended to the Queen you. It's just the same when you open the letter and the Prime Minister recommends to the Queen. This time that we received the Queen's Award for Enterprise, I have to tell you, that one's better. Any proper external recognition and appreciation means a lot. It means a lot to individuals, but it means a lot to organisations. And when you get one from your head of state, it's quite magical. It's the only way to describe it, really. If you're proud of your business and you're proud of what you do and you're proud of your team, I think it's a must, to be honest. And then you enter into a situation where you're comparing yourself against the best.
That's Paul's thoughts there. How do you feel watching that, Alex?
I'm very proud, and obviously Paul's an amazing leader of the group. So he drives a lot of this, but it's driven by every single person in the company as well. Now I'm sat here as finance director. You wouldn't see many finance directors talking about social mobility, but it could have been anybody in our team talking about this, because everybody lives and breathes it. So it's instilled within our culture and beliefs.
You agree with that, Jo?
Oh, absolutely. It's sort of embedded in the DNA of everybody in the group, I think. So there's no secret to it. We just hired the right people who have ethics and want to make a difference and want to look out for each other. That's what we did. So that's where it's come from.
And looking at Joe and Alex and how pleased they are, and Paul in that video, it must be nice handing them out as well. It must be nice to see the businesses get them.
Right, yeah, I haven't done one yet. I'm looking forward to it. we've been virtual, but yeah, it's going to be a great day, and I'm really looking forward to it as well, I must say. Yeah.
Who do you want to be handing them out to next then? What's the aim for you when you do get to do this in person? What would you say to businesses?
I'd just say it'd be a very proud day for everybody, and you know, one to be really remembered and you know, celebrated in the history of that particular organisation. So, yeah, I'm, you know, very much looking forward to it. Let's keep me busy.
Keep you busy in that role. Alex, what is it like when you tell people from outside of the business? Not just customers, but people you know. You know, you must have been proud that day that you got the award, and since. And what is their response? Do people know what this award is?
I think that's what's actually happened is people are asking, oh, what is that? And actually myself, even I'm seeing the Queen's Award logo everywhere now, and it's like, oh yeah, you know, other companies that have had it in the past, it's on the back of, you know, vans and things that you see, and so yeah, I guess it's a talking point, isn't it? And you know, I've had, you know, lots of family members and stuff pulling out the Hull Daily Mail cliffits and things like that, and just people messaging. So yeah, it's more of a talking point and showing that we've done something different.
Let's bring in Sophie, who's been listening to all of this. Now Sophie is our shared agenda consultant and former graduate as well, so relatively new to the business. What did it mean to you?
I think it's so nice to be recognised for something, because as employees we know what the company are like and we know the type of things that we're doing, but because it is so ingrained in our culture, we don't necessarily think about it as something that is social value or social mobility. It's just a part of our day-to-day jobs. But when we found out about the award, it made us take a step back and think, oh, actually, we do sort of go above and beyond, and we do all this additional work with the communities and the opportunities that the company are offering. And there was a real sense of pride within the offices, and as we've mentioned, with the flags and with certain videos that were put out throughout the day, and just a real sense of celebration and pride of what we've achieved as a company as a whole and as individuals being part of that.
So how do you see your career then at a business like this then? When that happens so early on in your career, what does that give you in terms of potential going forward?
It just really makes you think, this is a great company. I can see myself staying here for a while. And in the short period that I have been here, so I've been an employee for 3 years, and the amount of progression that I've been able to make in those 3 years, I think I can see the opportunity of where I can end up.
In terms of somebody younger than Jim, who is at the start of their career, if they work for a company that gets a Queen's Award early on, what do you think that means for the rest of their career, and I suppose their feeling about the business, but also doing the right thing?
Yeah, well, first of all, they're working for a great company, which is going to give them a great start in their career, because they're going to be developed properly. That's the first thing. I think it will always probably be on their CV that whilst they were there, they won the Queen's Award was won. And I think it will give them things to refer back to, in the future. Sometimes when times are tough, what would we have done at Sewell's? Or, you know, you've had a great training in that.
I was going to pick up on something that we had in the video earlier on about it lasts for, is it 5 years?
Yes.
So what happens after the 5 years? Can you apply again?
You can apply any time. In fact, you can apply for multiple awards in 2 or 3 categories. In fact, recently, Ideal Standard won 2 awards in the same year. So you can keep applying. I think Smith & Nephew won one in international trade once, and then they won one in innovation. So you just keep applying.
Right, OK. We'll get a reminder at the end about how businesses can get involved in this and where they can find all of the details. But it'd be quite nice now to focus specifically on the reason that Sewell got this award and talk about promoting opportunity and that social responsibility in more detail, and also so that other businesses can discuss this as well. Right. Talk to us about what does that mean, promoting opportunity?
Well, it's all about developing staff, the social mobility, making sure you're doing the right thing with your employees, and creating a consistent company.
So in terms of the employment side of it then, employing the right people for the roles, the right spirit?
The right people, developing in the right way, right training programmes, so forth. What would you say, Jo?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, as I said before, our approach has always been to look at the person and what they can bring rather than necessarily look at just the formality of a CV, if you see what I mean. Because if you want people who are going to care about their work colleagues and what they do and have ethics, then you hire people that are built like that. You don't hire people that aren't built like that. You can train them on the rest. So I think for us, in terms of how we work with people, we've always invested very heavily in our people in terms of their training programs. I think the number's 75% of our senior leadership team have come through non-traditional routes, which is fantastic, really, given we've got a board with accountants and chartered directors and all sorts of people on it. They've all been trained, no, not all of them, but many of them have been trained through the company and on the job, and done their professional qualifications paid for by us as they've trained. So that is fantastic. In fact, we've got a couple of directors that started their lives with us as apprentices. It's 16, 17. So that in itself is amazing, I think. So it's our approach to it, really, that we believe when talent is there, it's just talent, and it's about getting them at an early age if we can, and growing our own. There was a comment earlier on about people like Sophie. Sophie's a fantastic leader, young leader in the business. And my aspiration for her, whether it's with us or not in the longer term, would be that she goes off and populates whichever business she's working in with those same values that she's been tutored in, really, and schooled in here. Because we hired somebody who had all the raw material to become that person, and she is that person. She's a fantastic example and does an awful lot for the community. I think we're talking thousands of hours a year in the community benefit that Sophie gives out. So I don't know if, Alex, you've got anything to add to that.
So you've touched on the other side of it. So there's obviously the people development side, but there's also the giving back into the community side. And actually, we do so much of it, and you forget, like I said earlier, you forget how much stuff. And it doesn't have to be huge initiatives. We've done some amazing initiatives. Next door, we've got the Tommy Coyle Academy, which is a prime example of that. But it can also be the smaller things that, an example that in the retail side is we had a work experience boy who came from a local special school, and he came for a couple of hours a week just to get an understanding of work, the work environment. He came in on his first day with his head down and very quiet. After 6 weeks of being buddied up with somebody on site, he came in, head up, smiling, hello, good morning, and his teacher from school said, "What have you done?" And that's social mobility, isn't it? And it's something that every company can do. So
one of our superstar examples is Elliot, isn't he, from FM. So our FM company had a project where they worked with MenCap and had some trainees through the business that couldn't have potentially accessed work opportunities that easily, individuals that needed special support, and Elliot's still with us, working in Endyke School in Hull. He's been with us a couple of years now, I would guess, something like that, and he's in charge of a whole floor. He's part of the cleaning team. Now, I remember the stories about Elliot. He couldn't, I don't know if he'll mind me saying, but he couldn't even get on the bus without his mum going with him for his first few sessions, and then eventually his confidence got up, and now you would never know he had a confidence issue, because he's a superstar, and we've got so many examples of people like that in the business who've come in perhaps a slightly non-traditional route but have made their mark. It's fantastic to see.
Yeah, we'll see Elliot in a minute. He's in one of the videos, and it's nice
spoiler.
Spoiler alert. Sophie, no pressure on you. Just listening to all that, anywhere you go now, you've got to share those values and tell us a little bit about you.
I think that really it does ring true, because when I went for my interview, I thought, am I really going to get this job? I'm going for a graduate job, but I don't actually have any experience in this sort of industry. And yeah, thanks to Joe, the opportunities that I was offered, because I showed that I had the right attitude and that I was willing to work hard. And I think that that's really helped, because you can be taught the skills, as Joe was saying. And I didn't have any industry-specific experience because I came straight out of my degree into employment. But the fact that they've offered me that opportunity, and I've shown that, yes, I've got the underlying culture, but I can be taught the skills by some excellent employees that have guided me through. And that's really helped me progress my career quite quickly with the business.
I know you're going to hate me for this, because no one likes shouting about what they do, but we just heard all the things that you do for the community. Tell us a little bit about it.
So I do quite a lot of volunteering work. We've done quite a lot as a business, but outside of work. So we do quite a lot of community litter picks locally. I do a lot of volunteering to do with healthcare and the NHS and sort of supporting certain services. And then I'm also involved in sport as well. So volunteering at local sporting events, helping to coordinate and put those events on, and also helping them on the day and the running of those events as well.
Tell us, Alex, about some of the things that you mentioned as well. You talked about the Atomic Oil Academy and some of the other things that you do, but be specific about those. What is it that you do as a Soul Group?
Oh, I guess, it's not. There's a money element to it, generally is, but it's not just about that. There's the time factor. So building an academy next door. We're a construction company. We can use our skills. And it wasn't just us. This was a joint venture with other partners as well. The Box Clever bus is another example, which the bus tours around and changes young people's lives, and it uses a lot of fuel, so it's a good job we earn petrol forecourts. So they're two big examples. Previous to this space was the Skills Academy. So when we did the Building Schools for the Future, we had an academy here where children from the schools could come in and learn some skills. So we might have shown the next bricklayer how to lay bricks or plaster, or because kids don't always get to do those kind of things. So there's lots of examples like that, and again back to the smaller examples again, such as donating plants to local primary schools so the kids can learn how to nurture and grow plants. It's such a small thing, but that could get the next Alan Titchmarsh, couldn't we?
So. Jim, you and I had a fascinating conversation over breakfast about the fact that it's you don't like the word giving back because it shouldn't be an afterthought.
It's always been my view that actually you should be doing things continuously and doing the right things at the time. And I think, if you're a leader of a business, I think you have to engage with the community in which you operate. I mean, it makes perfect sense to be involved in that community, to be seen as a good employer, to be able to attract the right talent. And I think as a leader, that's when you are listened to most, actually. And there are times when you have to. There are times that, as a leader of an organisation, you can say some things that you perhaps couldn't say, without that position. And I think that's when you listen to. Most I know there were times the things I did at Smith & Nephew that got people thinking, because it was Smith & Nephew saying it, not someone else. And I think I think it's a continuous process. I don't think it's suddenly you start to give back. I think you should be giving in the appropriate way in your career, and I think that's what schools do. They encourage people to do that, as they do the job. And I think that's good business.
I was saying to you, do you think that if you give back at the end, it becomes a thing that was playing on your conscience, that you should have done more, or is it?
It's a bit harsh. I mean, but I think that you can always find a bit of time to do something, and I think you'll have more time at the end to do more. But I think it starts... I mean, I remember with Paul, right in the early days of starting what became City Image and then the bondholder scheme, way back 26, 27 years ago. And it was all about changing the image of Hull. And, I found it fantastic to get involved in the community. I also did all my media training through doing the interviews on City Image, which helped me enormously for Smith & Nephew in the future. But it was a continuous process, and, a group of us started something that really made a difference. And it was, it was also good for our own self-development as well. So I think it's a two-way thing. It's not just about that. It's about you learn, you broaden your horizons, you become a better manager as a result of the inputs you get from working with other people from different disciplines, from local councils and so forth. So it's not one-way traffic. It's good for everybody.
Let's talk about this Harvard Business Report then, because I wasn't too familiar with this before reading about it ahead of this. And it did show that businesses that have a purpose and are able to use that purpose to drive performance have an edge. You explain that for me better than I've just explained it.
I think in the hustle and bustle of business, it's easy to just focus on the numbers and performance. And that's fine. But I think all the research shows that if a business has an underlying tenet, what they stand for, a business purpose that is easily understood by all the employees, they are stronger companies. It has to be part of their strategy, part of their DNA, things that they would naturally do and would not compromise those principles in the pursuit of their business. And all the research shows those companies that have that strong purpose, do better. So, for example, I left Smith & Nephew 15 years ago now, so this is out of date by a long way, and I'm sure Smith & Nephew's changed. In fact, I hope it's changed, because it should be changing all the time. But at the time, when we had done a major global reorganisation, which led to a lot of change, and we started working on what we stood for, what was our purpose beyond profit. And actually, with Smith & Nephew, it was actually that everything we did in all the different divisions around the world helped people regain their lives. That was really... Now, if you are working on the factory floor, yes, it's good to know that the company's growing by a certain percent and that your job's pretty secure. But actually, if you can go back at night and say, do you know what, we've just introduced this product, and actually it dramatically reduces the pain from, mobilising a hip or whatever, that means something to every employee. It's that purpose, that is that unifying purpose that you can see. And I think I've talked about the examples in the past about, and they're old examples now, but when 9/11 happened, terrible as it was, 4 hours later, the only 2 planes that were flying in American airspace were taking our burns products to the Washington Burn Centre. Likewise, when the Bali bombs happened a long, long time ago, our staff in Australia were scrambled and the products were put on there. And it kind of brings it into focus, that you say, well, we're a world leader in wound management, but actually on that night, we were saving lives. And that is a purpose beyond profit. That goes beyond the numbers. That's why we exist, what we're there for. And I think companies that get their underlying purpose instilled into their employees do better.
How do you feel about that when you talk about it now?
I still
I was going to say, does it
I still feel, gosh, did we really do that?
And did everyone feel like that with
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you want to feel good about the work you do, don't you? And I think that purpose beyond the numbers is that motivating factor for everybody. You can be sweeping a factory floor, but actually knowing that what you do contributes to someone getting their life back is a great feeling.
For you, Alex, then, having that purpose, how does that affect business?
I was just thinking in terms of last year, COVID year, retail, we were open 24/7 throughout it all, and actually there was amazing examples of the similar thing there, that, you've got elderly customers that are petrified to get out of their houses. It's because they don't want to. And our staff know who they are, and they were going to drop newspapers and milk and bread without us asking, you know, because it was so natural to them. And that's, you know, what makes you feel proud, I guess, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Let's hear the stories. We were talking about the workforce and the different people who work here and call this their home, really. Let's hear the stories of some of the people at the Sewell Group.
My work ethic has always been really strong. I've always said to them, you know, don't ever just assume that I can't do something because I'm a single parent, and they've never done that. They've always given me the opportunity to say whether I can or whether I can't, and Sewell have been really supportive with that.
My work experience has got me into this role, basically. Obviously, they're aware of, like, my autism and different things like that, so they're, like, with me, put, like, steps into place of what works best for me, really, on my day-to-day job. I guess, like, just to have that understanding of everyone learns different, really.
31 years ago, I was interviewed by Paul and Graham, and all the way through that interview, we talked about having a career rather than having a job. The important thing for me is to make sure that other people in the business get those same opportunities to grow and shape their careers, you know, as they go forward as well.
I had no prior construction knowledge, but I think they saw that I was willing and I was able to give my all for the company. I remember going home and I told my family about it, and they were really pleased.
They do a lot for the local communities, schools, hospitals, stuff like that. They give stuff back to people, so I like to be involved in what's going on the company.
The community is supporting you, so why not support the community? And it's about supporting each other as human beings, you know, because every little bit helps.
It's the best of both worlds, really. It's the planning and development, but for public sector, so for health and education, you really do feel like you're making a difference.
I get a bit of pride in myself knowing that healthcare centre is going to provide those health opportunities to my family and people I know.
It's really focused on what can be done to the community and, you know, make a long-lasting effect, I think.
We've got a really strong family culture. A lot of our people have grown from within. We very rarely recruit externally for management or supervisory positions. They're all from internal.
It doesn't matter if you're having a good or a bad day, you know, they don't judge you. They're just there for you. It's really good. That's why I like it here. If you don't enjoy coming to work, then what's the point?
Ever since I got commissioned by Sewell to do this, I've met a lot of great people. They just let me be me.
Elliot was in that video as well, wasn't he? And he's had his photo with the Queen's Award flag, and he's been involved in all of that. And just remind us, tell us again a little bit about Elliot.
So he was part of a gang of people that came from MenCap a few years ago to get some work experience, really. It was no more than that. It was just a work experience placement. There was no promise of any roles or anything like that. And he just absolutely shone from very early on and just became part of the team, I think. And our facilities management company, Sewell FM, really just wanted to keep him and keep him going. They found that once he got a very clear guidance on what he needed to do every day, there was nobody better. He did it, and he did that list of activity that he had to do in his role, and never caused any other issues. Was very positive. Was very engaged, and like I say, has now become a permanent member of staff. And it seems a bit unfair, really, to pick on Elliot because we've got so many other examples too. But he is a character, yeah.
Where can people find out more about recruitment opportunities?
So we put our opportunities on our website, but again, you know, we have all our email details are out there in the public as well. And I would always encourage people, if you think you'd like to join our group, get in touch, either through the website. I mean, you know, I don't want to encourage a lot of unsolicited emails, but I do get emails and contacts through LinkedIn and through Twitter and all sorts of things. And I always try and put people, I know Alex does as well, and Patrick always try and put people in touch with the right people in our company who will then put them through the kind of the recruitment process. But, you know, even if we don't have any jobs advertised, I would encourage people to come forward and give us their details, because things do come up and we are growing, and we're on a bit of a push around trainees and apprentices and graduates coming up as well. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, please let us know.
OK, let's turn to a project then that most people will know of. It's a fantastic example of how businesses can come together and improve the lives of local young people, and that is, of course, Cat Zero. Jim, tell us a little bit, first of all, about Cat Zero and your role in Cat Zero.
Obviously, I'm chairman. I was just involved in getting it started with Dan and Dave, and it was a great story, well known. It all started from the Clipper, Hal and Humber. We wanted social inclusion on the project, so Dave Burstall came up with the idea of putting those people who were NEET, not in education, employment training, one on each leg of the race, taking the Wilberforce petition to end modern-day slavery around the world. I couldn't help but get involved as a sailor, so I did the second leg across the South Atlantic and saw this remarkable change. Danny had been used to be working with young people. And when I came back and we talked to Dave, the three of us decided to do something on a much bigger scale, and that's really how it started. Mm-hmm. And I think the important thing is that right from the start, businesses were fantastic, and this Sewell's in particular, it doesn't surprise you to know that they were one of the first to jump in and help. But when that yacht first came into Hull, we had 80 businesses logos on the yacht, all wanting to be involved, and I think it was a fantastic example of a real social need. Hull's NEET problem was twice the national average at that time. And businesses coming together saying, yeah, this is a good project, let's get behind it.
And Pete Ties from Cat Zero, and you've been there from the beginning nearly, haven't you?
I have, yes. I was one of the first members of staff and yeah, tasked with creating programmes. So yeah, it's been a pleasure to watch it grow and yeah, to be involved.
I'm fascinated to think back to that first trip, that first adventure, what it was like when they got on board and the first people who used it got on board. What was it like?
There's a lot of nerves. I mean, we've been working with the group for 10 weeks prior to them sailing. But yeah, it's an unknown. It's a totally alien environment to be out the sight of land, to be you know, in an environment where it's moving all the time and you're working on a 4 hours on, 4 hours off watch system. So yeah, a lot of nervous people, but to watch them grow. I wasn't actually on the trip, but to welcome them back and to see some people that were very quiet or nervous about things, to stand there tall and waving at you, a bit similar to, you know, the way that you've watched your young people grow that you've been working with. It was a fantastic opportunity, and they stand tall, and that's where it wins out. And you build that with all the things that we do in Cat Zero about CVs, about qualifications and addressing the young person's underlying issues. You put them then in front of an employer and it's like a spark's ignited, and they sit up and they're like, look at me, and I've got so much to offer your business, and that's why people get jobs.
I mean, you've got to learn pretty quickly, haven't you? When you're on a sailing yacht,
yeah,
you've got to learn your skills quite quickly.
Yes, you do. I mean, it's a very safe environment. We have 2 qualified skippers on the vessel, so they're taught everything that they need to know. And then when we get to a destination and they think about coming home, that's where we can sort of take the pressure off a little bit and then say, well, how would you get there? What do you need to do? What decisions do you want to make? And that's part of that developmental process for those young people. But it's not just about the yacht. It's, you know, over a 16-week programme, we're talking about a 2-week element to it. So it's about that learning process beforehand. It's about making sure that the young person knows where they're going on their journey and how we can address what's going on in their lives, because it's all about building relationships.
And you've really grown, haven't you? It's not just about young people now, you do so much more.
Yeah, I mean, we work with families, we work with people up to retirement age, we work with military veterans, and we're not just in Hull. So we've got a base in Grimsby, and we're working in Scunthorpe, we've worked in Goole, and we've worked as far afield as Bridlington. So, yeah, over the past 12 years, we've spread our wings, but we are looking at, you know, staying in the Humber corridor, really.
How important was business early on in the terms of the support you had?
Major support. You know, as I said, Sewell standing side by side with us at the beginning. And, you know, in the first year, they built us a fantastic learning environment. They built our head office. They changed the derelict nightclub with their business partners, so MKM and Herd and Transwaste, they all got involved and created this fantastic learning environment for us to be in for the following 6 years, which was great, and it created a focal point around the marina. And it was really nice to see. It was when the first Freedom Festival were on. People were like, oh, I'm just by the Cat Zero building, and everybody knew where it was. So, you know, you were changing environments in those early days as well. So it was great to have those businesses involved, and also the support that we got from around the businesses about people saying, well, actually, I'll give a young person a chance. And that moves things forward. And that's what we'd like to see for the future, is people coming on board and saying, actually, our business can offer this. We have lots of businesses involved that do interview practice, from bank managers coming in to HR people, and offering real-world mock interviews. And it's a scary process. It's a really scary process for the people that have done it. And but they've said, when I've gone to a real interview, I've got the job because my butterflies are out my stomach. You know, I understood the process. Yes, it's getting them all the skills that they need. Do you have any real success stories then that you're proud of? Lots of successes, really. I mean, we've got a fantastic success rate of getting people into education, employment and training. So, all sorts. I mean, there was one lad that was on the Sewell Sparks programme, which these guys funded about 7 years ago, and he now works for a joinery company in the area. He's doing really well. And there's other people that, well, through Sewell Sparks, there was 12 people on the programme, and 9 of them went into education, employment or training, which was sustainable. And it's something that they should be really proud of. They've done it. We've just coached them through a process. We've got people who went off to university, are now teachers. We've got paramedics, all sorts of people. Some people working all over. We've got one person working out of a cruise ship out of Australia. Huge success stories. People just absolutely transformed their lives, and it's. And they always come back to us, which is nice. You know, we're part of the community, and people say, "Oh, I'm still doing this," or "I've moved on to this," and it's a safe environment where people think, "Actually, I can go and talk to them if they've got issues and problems that have cropped up, even if it's 6 months, 2 years, 3 years after their programme. They know they can come back to us, and it's part of the Cat Zero warranty. Once Cat Zero, always Cat Zero." And, people know that, and it's ingrained. And also the support agencies around the area know that they can always feed people back into Cat Zero as well, because it's a safe place for them to be. You presumably are going to be needed a lot this year, because after what has been a really difficult year that's disrupted education, it's disrupted so much, hasn't it, with the pandemic? It has. I mean, we often work with some of the hardest to reach people in our communities, and they often start with anxieties and low self-esteem, and then you put COVID on top of that, and you've got everything is heightened. So, yes, there's a lot that we need to do about getting people out of their duvets, getting them out there, facing the world again, because essentially they've been told to sit still for the last 18 months if they're on benefits. So, and it was the right thing to do. It's what we needed to do. But now it's getting people out, and it's coaching people that, right, how do we move forward in life and how do we progress? And tell us about the summer internships then, with that in mind. Fantastic opportunity from Sewell's. It's something that I'm sure they're really proud of and we're really excited about. So we're delivering a programme at the moment which is funded by the Youth Futures Foundation, which is a national programme. And it's working with 25 young people in Hull, 25 young people in Grimsby from the ages of 14 to 25. And Sewell's have offered us the opportunity for placement within that for the month of August. So it's a paid opportunity for people to undertake things like retail work or plastering or painting and decorating, to accountancy and admin support. So lots of different opportunities that Sewell's have here, and really giving people a chance. And for people to go, actually, I've earned this week, and there's the opportunity to get it again next week and build up a work history, build it onto the CV for people that have never done anything before. It's a fantastic opportunity, and something that we're really looking forward to. And I know you're excited about this, Jo.
Really excited. I mean, just going back a step, we had a difficult year last year, but a stable year. We were very lucky in some ways in that the sectors that we're in needed our support, so they needed our team. So obviously the retail business was very busy. I know petrol went through the floor, Alex, but retail sort of compensated for that. On the estate side, you know, our construction teams had to stand down for a period, but then once we could get back to work safely, we did. And the rest of the group had long-term contracts that still needed to be met. So our company was actually in a very stable position last year. And we got to the end of last year, and me and the other directors felt that we needed to do more as a business, because if we couldn't do more, we didn't know who would be able to do more. You know, I'm painfully aware that the unemployment rate in this part of the world and in some of the other cities and towns that we work in is still a lot higher than the national average. And if companies that are doing okay can't help, then we really are struggling as a country, aren't we? So we decided randomly to triple our investment in apprentices, graduates and trainees, and do that. But then another member of the team, actually it wasn't me, I can't claim credit for it, suggested that, well, actually we need to do more than this, don't we, because we've got a partnership with Cat Zero. And one of my personal bugbears is that it's all right as a kid if you're on a path, you're in school, you're in college, you've got parents that support you, and they will help you get out of bed. I've got 2 teenage boys, so I know exactly what this is like. Help you get out of bed in the morning, make sure that you've got food, you've got your bus money, you've got everything else. But if you don't have that support, how do you get into work? And again, like I said, one of the other members of the team said, well, what about Cat Zero? Can we do something with Cat Zero and maybe do our triple of investment in the people we can recruit from the traditional sources, if you like, from schools and colleges and whatnot, but also work with Cat Zero to see can we do more on top of that. So this is in addition to what we're doing anyway, which was something we want to do. So I mean, I think it's going to be fantastic. I mean, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take a lot of effort, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
it is.
And a lot of support. And our guys are all gearing up. You know, our people across the business are all gearing up to support these people that are coming through. But I think we'll do it together, won't we?
Yeah, the young people that are engaged with us are excited about it, because they've generally not had an opportunity like this before. So to get a foot in the door and a step on the ladder really is a great opportunity, and then we can support them all the way through the process as well. So yeah, roll on August.
Mm-hmm. So how do people find out more about that, but also the other stuff you do at Cat Zero, and how can they get on one of the projects?
Yeah, well, we've got a fantastic website. It's just Google Cat Zero. But yeah, we're constantly recruiting for people, and if people are interested in any of our other projects for veterans or for families that need support, some of it is postcode dependent on where the funding comes from and allows us to work. However, you know, nothing stops people picking up the telephone and giving us a call. So it's a nice easy number. It's 333303, and have a chat. You know, if you need some support from us, we could be there for you. And yeah, there's lots of programmes and lots of different ways that we can work. And if we don't know a way of working with you, maybe there's somebody that we do know.
Brilliant. And I should say that one of the great projects that you've got going, we've been able to hear a lot of through all of this. There's a lot of boxing and training going on next door in the Tommy Coyle Academy. Oh, I quite like it. It's quite nice. Jim, just finally, in summary, just talk to us about what you think we've covered in this and what you think people should take away from it.
Right. Well, first of all, obviously, we've talked about the awards. Queen's Award for Enterprise and the Queen's Award for Voluntary Service as well. Let's not forget that. Please think about whether you qualify, whether it would be, you know, good for your business. We can help you. Let's get some applications in. There are some great businesses. We need to recognise them. It does not surprise me that Sewells have won this award. In fact, I would have been gobsmacked if they hadn't. And the reason is perfectly simple, that every time I have touched the Sewell organisation over years, there's been a consistent personality and behaviour from everybody. And the sign of a solid company that has that overwhelming purpose beyond profit is the consistency of the employees. And I think what we've talked about, and you've heard the examples today, is just that. It's great to have a brand, but actually you've got to live that. And actually that's all about your underlying tenet, your purpose. Yes, we talk about values, but actually what's really important is the behaviours and personalities that go with that. And here is a company that has exceptionally consistent personalities. You know, it doesn't matter. I've found over the years, it doesn't matter who I talk to in Sewells, the personality and behaviour is absolutely consistent. That doesn't happen overnight. That's not a fancy logo. That's years and years of ingrained development. just what we've talked about. And that's exactly why they've won that award. So I think they're a shining example in many, many ways of that as well. So good luck to them. I'm very pleased. Look forward to the presentation. And pleased to everybody else to just apply.
Yeah, and go for it and find out more about it on the website. Thank you to our panel that we've had for this morning. Our hour is up, but the Lord Lieutenant of the East Riding of Yorkshire, Jim Dick, OBE, thank you to you, and Joe Barnes, and to Alex Mortimer, and to Sophie Lee and Pete Tye from Cat Zero as well. That's it from us. Enjoy the rest of Humber Business Week, and we'll all see you very soon. Bye for now.